Have you met AccuQuilt's Go Me? This lightweight, compact fabric cutter will inspire makers everywhere to experience the joy of quilting. It makes a great starter set for those new to quilting or to the AccuQuilt system. The Go Me provides a safe, fun, and easy way to cut a variety of fabrics for quilting. It also makes a great gift. This perfect starter set comes with the Go Me fabric cutter, 2 Go dies, a cutting mat, and 5 fabulous patterns. Just add fabric and you'll have everything you need to create your first project. Look what we made using just these 2 dies. Plus, it's compatible with more than 200 dies in our Go collection. The Go Me's compact design is made for quilters with life on the go. With AccuQuilt and the new Go Me, we can help you cut time so you can quilt more. Are you or someone you love an avid quilter? Meet the Ready, Set, Go Ultimate Fabric Cutting System. This fabric cutter takes the strain out of fabric cutting, meaning less chance of injury and better quilts made faster. The Ultimate Fabric Cutting System includes the Go, our innovative fabric cutter with an easy-to-turn handle that makes cutting fabric safer, faster, and more accurate. This 15-pound fabric cutter has a carrying handle and folding mechanism, so it's portable and easy to store. The Ready, Set, Go also includes the Go Cube Mix and Match 8-inch block, which features 8 dies of commonly used geometric shapes and the corresponding cutting mat. The Go Cube Mix and Match system has endless pattern possibilities, but it comes with a 16-page pattern book with 2 quilt patterns to get you started. We like to say the Ready, Set, Go is the ultimate fabric cutting system because it truly comes with everything you need. That includes our Go Strip Cutter 2.5-inch, which finishes to a 2-inch finish strip, a corresponding cutting mat to make cutting binding strips easier than ever. We've even included a die pick to make die maintenance painless. To help quilters feel confident on their quilting journey, we've also included the Go Cube Mix and Match blocks and quilt pattern book by Eleanor Burns. It's packed with tips and tricks in addition to inspiration. Look at some of the beautiful projects you can create with this ultimate fabric cutting system. At AccuQuilt, we want to spread the joy of quilting to all, and the Go makes cutting fabric easier than traditional scissors or rotary cutting. AccuQuilt, because cutting time means quilting more. The Go Cube Mix and Match system is every quilter's best friend. With just one Go Cube Mix and Match block, you have 72 different quilt block design options. The Mix and Match block comes in 6 different finished sizes: a 4-inch finished block, 6-inch finished, 8-inch, 9-inch, 10-inch, and 12-inch finished blocks. The Go Cube system is based on a 4-patch system. Each die is numbered. The shapes are all the same in every cube. They're just different sizes based on the finished block size. For every size of Go Cube Mix and Match block, there is a corresponding Go Cube companion set, corners and angles. The Go Cube companion set corners includes 4 additional die shapes numbered 9 through 12.1. And the Go Cube companion set angles has 4 more dies with shapes numbered 13 through 16. With one companion set, you increase the number of quilt block designs to 144. With both the corners and the angles, that increases to over 216 mix and match patterns, but even more quilt pattern possibilities. Many of your favorite designer patterns can be translated to these common shapes. Because all the shapes in each Go Cube block are the same, each Go Cube compatible pattern can be adjusted for any size cube. All Go Cube Mix and Match blocks and companion sets include the corresponding cutting mat and a pattern book to get you started. The shapes on our Go Cube block dies are self-contained in a storage box. Each die shape includes a 1/4-inch seam and specialized dog ears. That means easier piecing and better organization. To help quilters better understand and benefit from our Go Cube system, we've created a book filled with tips, tricks, and patterns. We've also teamed up with expert Eleanor Burns to create 2 additional books: the Go Cube Mix and Match blocks and quilt pattern book, and the Go Outside the Box pattern book, to help all quilters use and love their cube blocks. The pattern possibilities with the Go Cube system is limitless. The AccuQuilt website has hundreds of patterns to get you started, but don't stop there. For more information on why you need the Go Cube Mix and Match block system, watch our Go Cube videos, check out our site, or visit your local AccuQuilt retailers. With AccuQuilt, we help you cut time so you can quilt more.
I'm Lynn Gibney, AccuQuilt's Chief Brand and Product Officer, and I want to welcome all of you to our trunk show called Quilts Around the World. I know that you're going to absolutely love the journey we are going to go on today. So let's get started by introducing your adventure guides, Pam and Erica.
I love that we have a new title. I think that's great. Quilters, I want to welcome you to our very special viewing of this week's trunk show.
And we know that you're going to absolutely love the journey we're taking you on this evening.
That's right. Now, we wanted to try something a little bit different by providing you with an evening showing where we take you on an expedition of quilts around the world.
That's right. Plus, Pam and I are very excited to announce that we will be joining you on Facebook as you watch the show. We look forward to answering your questions and chatting with you and learning what you love about the show. So don't be shy. We can't wait to talk to you.
Yep, just look for AccuQuilt cutting expert Pam Heller. It's going to be Eric and I
Both
answering your questions.
2 for 1.
2 for 1. We're so looking forward to our first opportunity to interact with our audience in real time.
Absolutely. It was such a fun show to put together for you. We hope you love the experience every bit as much as we did. So let's get started on this special evening experience.
All right, quilters, welcome to the International Quilt Museum.
Hi, welcome from Lincoln, Nebraska. We're here at the International Quilt Study Museum, and we're so excited to be here today.
Yes.
And we're going to take you on an adventure from the outside in. And did you know that this quilt museum was founded in 2008, which was the same year as AccuQuilt?
Oh, that's amazing.
That's right. And it was entirely funded by private funds, donations, and 130 quilt guilds.
Another fun fact is this building is meant to represent a quilt. So it has 3 floors or 3 layers like a quilt, the top, the batting, and the backing. You'll notice that the silver bars along the windows represent those stitches for a quilt. So let's go inside and check it out. All right.
Come on, this way.
Okay, that was such a windy
It was
day.
such a
We were
windy
there.
day. We were blown apart. It had rained on us.
Oh, but such a great place.
It really was. And Quilters, this show is not only special just because we're taking you on a virtual tour.
That's right, Erica.
We want to dedicate this show to a very special person who was both an amazing friend to AccuQuilt and the International Quilt Museum.
That's right. We want to dedicate this show to Mary Orecki. Mary had been an uplifting AccuQuilt team member for quite a while, traveling to shows for us until 2013, before she pursued a position at the Quilt Museum in Lincoln. She was someone that many people admired. Her sewing machine traveled with her to quilt shows, and you would often find her sewing well into the evening afterward with the biggest smile on her face. Mary was an impressive artist, full of knowledge about quilting history and tradition. I have so many wonderful memories with Mary, and I miss all the joy she infused into everything that she did. I am proud to dedicate this amazing show to an amazing woman who touched the hearts of many with her talent and her personality.
Oh, Mary was such an incredible person.
And such an inspiration to so many.
She was.
Now, Lynn, how long did Mary work at the International Quilt Museum?
So I believe she worked there over 10 years.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
I bet she had such a wealth of information about the museum because not only of her knowledge of quilting history, but her work experience there as well.
Absolutely. And speaking of the museum, do you know what I find fascinating about the building?
No,
Lynn?
tell us.
All right, so the brick facade and the relief around the building were done to look like quilt blocks. Every part of the building relates back to quilting.
Oh, it's such a fabulous building, and we have so much more to share with everyone.
Oh, that's right. Like how the reception room is shaped like the eye of a needle.
Yes.
But of course, the best part is the quilt collection.
Indeed.
Right?
That's
Housed in
right.
the museum. It's the largest publicly held quilt collection in the world, and it's right down the interstate from AccuQuilt on the East Campus of the University of Nebraska.
Go Cornhuskers.
That's right.
Just wait until we show you what's inside this impressive building.
Oh
But
my
before
gosh.
we go on any further trips, we have an amazing deal for you, everyone, today. So until midnight Central Time tonight, we are offering you 30% off your order. Plus, get free shipping if you spend more than $100 and live in the contiguous U.S.
You'll need to use the promo code SUMMER30 for this amazing discount. Plus, if you spend more than $300, then we will gently and lovingly place a free Go Me fabric cutter starter set in your box. Some exclusions apply, so be sure to check the website for details.
And Erica, that's not just a Go Me, right? It's the 2 dies that
It's
come
the
with.
starter set, right?
Yeah.
So you've got a pattern booklet, 2 dies, a mat, you're all ready to go.
All ready to go.
That's amazing. To get your order in during this show, you can use your phone's camera to capture this QR image here and go right to the site.
If you don't have access to a QR reader, no worries. Open up a new tab in your browser, go to the top of your page, click on that plus sign. In that very top box, type in AccuQuilt.com/party to place your order. That way you won't miss a minute of today's show, which is going to be phenomenal.
Yes.
You can also find our products at your local AccuQuilt retailer. To find the retailer closest to you, check out the store locator at the top of the page at AccuQuilt.com.
Quilters, we know our dies and fabric cutters are an investment, so AccuQuilt offers fast and easy financing with installments or split pay options.
For more information on financing through AccuQuilt, visit AccuQuilt.com/financing.
All right, Lynn and Erica, I think it's time we take a look inside the Quilt Museum. Quilters, check it out.
We're here with Carolyn Ducey, the Artist B. James Curator of Collections here at the museum. Welcome.
Thank you so much for coming today. We're so happy you're here.
So what room are we in?
Well, this is where all of the magic happens. This is the Sarah and Byron Dillow Conservation Workroom.
Wow.
So this is where we do all of the work on the quilts, and it's a constant effort. We have to refold the quilts every 2 years. So, you know,
okay.
people get the idea that a quilt comes into the collection, it goes on the shelf, and it sits there, but we really do have to constantly be working on the collection and its care. And it is something that we always tell people, just like at home, textiles can't just sit and be neglected. You need to keep an eye on them. You don't want anything to happen while they're in their boxes. You know, too much moisture can cause mildew, things like that. So in this space, today we have our usual Thursday morning crew, and they're accessioning quilts.
What does that mean?
That means that they are looking at a new collection. These are Hopi quilts from Arizona, a really exciting new collection donated by Carolyn O'Baggy Davis. And they are taking down all the information that we need for our database. We log in how the quilt was made, what the materials are, the size, the styles. Joanne is getting the label prepared, so each quilt has a unique number, and we write that on a small piece of bias tape, and then we baste it to the back of the quilt. And so each quilt gets that kind of number assigned, and then that's how we reference it in our in-house database, and you can also reference it on our online database, because everything in our collection gets posted on our website. Once it's been accessioned and photographed, that'll be the last step in the accession progress.
And how many quilts do you have in the collection here?
Well, it's the end of our fiscal year, so we just did a count, so we are up to 6,060 quilts. But I have a feeling even since that count, a few more have come in.
Wow.
You know, over COVID, when everybody was at home, everybody was going through closets and sorting.
Right.
So we did not slow down a beat. In fact, we the last 2 years are a couple of our largest years.
Wow.
In part because we're getting collections now. So like the Hopi collection is nearly 90 pieces.
Wow.
Really well researched, documented. There's a book on these. So that's the kind of thing that we are really looking to add to the collection, are quilts with great information and great research. So
if a visitor was to come on tour here, could they come to this room?
they can do a behind the scenes
Okay.
tour. They can walk through and see all the different things we have going on. It is kind of a special thing that you have to set up. But yes, we love having people come behind the scenes, and I think they are fascinated to see the kind of care we give the collection.
Oh, that room was so cool. So do you remember they have a volunteer there? She's
Yes.
93 years old,
Yes.
and she comes every Tuesday or Thursday or
It was Thursday, every Thursday morning.
right, to fold quilts
Yep.
and to do it. And up until about a year ago, she lives close to a museum. She would walk.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
And every week she says, oh, I'm not sure. Maybe now I'm going to retire.
Yeah,
And she's
they-
done it for almost 20 years.
Yeah.
Carolyn and her staff were truly amazing, and it was such an honor to meet them as part of our tour. Did you know that they have over 60 volunteers who work with them to keep the museum running smoothly and to help take care of those over 6,000 quilts?
She was so knowledgeable about the quilts and the exhibits, and she shared so much amazing
was great.
information.
That's right. We moved forward in our tour and had the opportunity to see the storage room. So follow us now as we learn more about how to store a quilt.
I can move as many shelves as I want.
Look at this. This is so
Oh, that is awesome.
Yes.
So this is considered high density storage. What it basically means is we only have one aisle at a time.
Okay.
So we save all of that space.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that amazing?
I feel like I'm at Willy Wonka's.
So you can see how long the shelves are. They're packed full. All of the quilts are have or the boxes have labels on them, and then we use this really high-tech sticky note. That's what tells us when things need to be refolded. But a volunteer crew can come in and just look at the colors, and they can go right down the line, pull the quilts that need to be refolded, and get those taken care of. So it works really well for us.
So how many quilts fit in a row?
It depends too, because some we put 2 to a box.
Oh,
Okay.
sure.
If they're small quilts, we'll put 4 to a box, or whatever they fit comfortably in. So there's
Okay.
probably a different number in each row. So the bulk of our collection is in boxes, and those have to be refolded. We do have flat storage units. Those are very limited, and we tend to put things like silk crazy quilts, things that the materials
okay.
really just don't do well with folding. But we're also moving into a lot more rolled storage, because the art quilts that are being made today just oftentimes don't fold well. So
When you roll quilts, do you roll them onto themselves, or do you put sheets or some kind of paper between them? How do you roll them?
we put tissue on them. We always put an initial layer of tissue over the surface of every quilt when we either fold or roll, because that way you don't have any fabric on fabric abrasion.
Okay.
But we use depending on the quilt. We have a couple really large rolls. We have some smaller ones. But you don't want a real small radius on that roll,
Right.
because it's going to roll it too tight. And rolling is something that we opted initially not to do a lot of. We've always had some, but it's more labor intensive to roll, because what we discovered is if you roll a little too tight, then you're pushing your fabric against your quilting stitches, and you can get a ridge that builds up there. You have to keep it really straight and even across it. So it takes a lot of bodies to really be sure that it's rolled carefully. And it's one of those things where not too tight, not too loose, just right.
It's awesome.
Wonderful.
I think it's great too that you have all this information on your website, so all of us can, use these tips too for our own collections at home.
Even with your stash, your fabric stash, I always try to mention this to groups because I love going to an artist studio and they have their fabric like color coded, beautiful stacks on the shelf. But I'm always like, you do know you're probably going to get a strip of fading where that fold is exposed. And so and just the hot and cold issue, never having quilts in the attic or the basement because the temperatures are too extreme. People always think, laying a quilt out on a bed is a great way to store it because it can be laid flat.
Right.
But if you think, I've got the curtain shut or the blind shut, but there'll be a little sliver that comes through and it's going to shine on your quilt, and also you're going to get that sliver of light exposed down the middle.
I never even
The
thought
things
of that.
we don't even think about, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
The balance I think that is always good to think about is this a quilt that's really important to me that I want to preserve for long term?
Right.
Is this my masterpiece? Or is this a quilt I'm going to use? And then you have two very distinct, different kind of sets of rules, if you will, that you want to follow. Because if you want to make it last, you got to take good care of it.
Yeah.
They're living, breathing things.
Right.
Yes.
At my house, though, it's like you have to finish it first before.
Yeah, well, that is.
There is that.
I resemble that, Lynn. It was such an amazing experience being in there. But quilters, I have to tell you, the most frustrating part of the whole visit for Miss Pam here,
Big tears.
right down that aisle, as you looked at the screen on the right-hand side, about halfway down, was the reconciliation quilt. And Miss Carolyn is so guarded about her quilts that since it wasn't time for it to come out, it didn't come out and we didn't get to see it.
Yeah, I was so excited because I thought, she's going to show it to me. Up until a couple of years ago, it was the quilt, the highest price in an auction for a private quilt. And it's there. It was there. I got to touch the box, but not see it.
It's not on, but she promised us that it's going to be on display next year.
Yeah, they're celebrating their 25th anniversary.
That's right.
So it's another opportunity for us to go back.
That's right.
I'm down.
Good,
Let's
good
go.
idea. Mark the calendar. Well, next, Carolyn took us into the collection room to see two quilts up close and personal. Now, the first is known as a soldier's quilt. Take a look.
And this is a probably mid-1800s soldier's quilt.
Wow.
So what we would consider the Crimean War period. Soldier's quilts were made, or what we loosely call soldier's quilts. We call them that because they're made of wool soldiers' uniforms fabric. They're probably made by tailors who were serving in the war. So made by men who were using it as either way to, there's two school of thoughts, either professional tailors who made it out of the scraps from uniforms, or soldiers who were recuperating from an injury. There's some 19th century paintings that show soldiers sitting up in bed with pieces in the same color, working on that. But we don't know about that because the technique is really, it would take a lot of skill to plan and produce this.
Right.
So we do think it's possible that it was professionals.
Right.
But we see these wool quilts in these beautiful geometrics in the 1700s, very early on. They're some of our earliest quilts. Then we see them in the mid 1850s-ish period, which is the time of the Crimean War in Europe. And then we see them much later in the 1890s again. And we have the only one that we believe was actually documented as made in the US. Otherwise, they are typically made in England. So,
Right, and I believe this one said it was made in the UK.
yes,
Right.
yes. The wool is so beautiful, and it's felted, or what they boiled wool.
Okay.
So it doesn't fray. So when they sew the pieces, they butt the pieces right up next to each other. They really don't have a seam allowance.
Oh,
It's what we call intarsia. And so because the wool doesn't fray, you can do that stitch.
Oh, you can see where they're
Right.
just like whip stitching it together.
Exactly.
Barely.
Look at those tiny little diamonds.
Tiny.
And
But I
they
guess-
come in all kinds of different variations, but this overall look of the geometric shape with the kind of expanding patterns and this complex design is pretty consistent in them.
So do you think they use like paper templates to cut the pieces? How do you think they cut it?
Because we have a die for this.
Yes.
Yes, you guys have the machine we need.
Yeah.
No, we don't know. There's been some wonderful research by a woman named Annette Jarrow, and she had a couple of tools that she showed, and she thinks they just cut them and sew them.
They
And
just cut them.
yeah.
They're just so good
again,
at it.
that's why you think this is not someone who is not familiar with the
Right.
trades and doesn't have some pretty good experience with
I
it.
think also this embroidery, right, is so perfect.
And this is what makes this piece really unusual. It's just got this added incredible border on it.
Yes.
This one, in many ways, is very simple compared to some of the others that we have.
Really.
I'm also amazed at how old these are, because we're always coming out with new dyes that we do the research on them. A lot of them come from the 1800s or the early 1900s, but I don't have anything that goes back to the 1700s.
Right.
Well, and that one of the fascinating things we discovered, so many of these designs are just ubiquitous. You find them throughout history, you find them throughout the world. So I was opening up our UNL newspaper one day, and there was an article with a big picture, and I was like, what is that quilt? Well, it wasn't a quilt. It was the floor of a Roman bath that our archaeology students were uncovering in Turkey. But each block was like, okay, there is a 8-pointed star.
Right.
There is your rob Peter to pay Paul. There's your cathedral windows. So some of those designs have been around since Roman times, and it's so intriguing. I think what I certainly didn't know is that people traveled so much, and culture and designs traveled the world.
Right.
And so there's all these interconnections. We're all the same. We're all the same around the world.
Yeah.
And the things that we love are all, the beautiful designs, creation of something beautiful is something we all share.
It's universal.
It's universal.
I absolutely love that we're all connected.
Yeah.
Story that she told.
It was
That was a great
wonderful.
story.
Yeah.
It was, and I don't know about the two of you, but the hardest thing was not touching
Right.
that quilt.
No, it was so vibrant,
so
and the embroidery, and but we
So
were
close.
good.
We were.
Didn't do it.
All right, so this next video shows a top 10 moment for all of us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
We got to put on the white gloves to protect the quilt and help Carolyn fold that wonderful soldier's quilt to reveal the next one lying under it. So check this out.
This is a relatively new piece, so it has not been put in a box yet. So we're just going to hold on. Bring the
gosh, I can hardly wait.
Okay, tell me how to do a bolt about here. So I'm going to have you cross your hands so that you can keep that.
Okay.
There you go.
Oh.
So you see a tiny little bit of seam allowance in some places on that, but there you can really see the way it's getting put together.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
We go up and over.
I feel like I'm going to do this wrong.
Okay. Let's bring it out a little bit wider, because then that inside piece is going to be nice and flat. And we're going to go down to this end.
Okay.
They're so cool.
Lift it and bring it back. Now I'm going to go back here. And then we're just going to make a little fold, because I want it to end here.
The pressure.
We should get shirts that say honorary quilt folders.
I'm game, trained by Carolyn. And what we're trying to make sure we do is not to crunch this fold. So kind of keep your hand, I would put your hand right there, and then you know exactly where you want this to go. And remember, it doesn't have to go to the edge.
Okay.
Perfect.
Great.
Okay, now let's bring it to the end of the table.
Oh.
And you can see how heavy it is. Oh, it's heavy. And then typically we would have large rolls of tissue paper in here to support those last folds. That's the only time we use a rolled tissue. But this is still probably living as a bundle in a sheet until it's through the accessioning process.
Oh, look at those.
So this is an Indian quilt. Probably, I think we had like a 1980 to 2000 date on it. This would have been made in kind of the upper west corner of India into the Pakistan, across the border there. And
So how did they make this
Yeah,
little
the
border
border.
is what I'm trying to figure out.
I think it's just cut out and stitched
Just
down.
pieces.
So the quilting stitches are oftentimes actually hold the quilt together. It's not got batting in it, it's just layers of thin sari fabric.
Oh, okay.
And they typically work from the outside to the middle.
Oh, where we work backwards, yeah.
And you see in our photos, you'll see women sitting cross-legged all the way around it, stitching on it. Wow. And this one actually is a relatively simple piece from this area. Oftentimes they have bling on them, they'll have mirror work, they'll have pom-poms. The more bling they add to them, the more specialized it might be for a special occasion like a wedding or something like that.
I love the different colors of the quilting thread.
I never think of doing that. I always just quilted in the same color. And I think we need to quilt in different colors.
And
And
it's
you
not
really can see it on the
bound.
back as well.
Wow. It's not
And it's a
bound.
knife edge,
Yeah.
just both edges folded and stitched together.
That's interesting too.
Beautiful.
And, our international collection is just so amazing because, like I said earlier, we didn't even really know these traditions existed, and then to see that they are all our quilting patterns are closely tied to India, to Central Asia, to China, Japan. Some of that design is just truly universal.
Oh, that was such a great quilt.
It
And
was.
It was so, you talked about the different colored of quilting thread, and you really couldn't see it in the picture, but it was just kind of like a running stitch.
Yes.
All different colors. It was fascinating.
It was
I
like
just
red
loved it.
and blue
Yeah,
and
it
yellow.
just, it
Very
brought so
pretty.
much dimension to the quilt when you were up close and personal
Yeah.
to it. Well, one of the striking things about the quilts that we saw was the similarities between the museum's collection and the quilts that you and I make, whether they're from 100 years ago or from halfway around the world.
As Carolyn said, the Raleigh quilt from Pakistan, which we were just looking at, was made between 1980 and 1990. This is a quilt that we saw just before in the quilt storage room, and it was just stunning.
It
It
was.
really was.
It was. And the border was beautiful because tiny little border and they had cut tiny little
hand cut,
arches
yeah.
out of it. It was amazing. And the minute I looked at that quilt, I saw an Ohio Star, didn't both of you?
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, as we went from quilt to quilt at the museum, we were breaking down the shapes and talking about the dies to use, and we decided to recreate some of them for you back here in the studio ourselves.
The cubes are great for inspiring quilters, but they're also perfect for translating something like the quilts we saw into a current project. Each mix and match block has 8 shapes that all work together to make 72 mix and match blocks, but really the possibilities are endless.
That's right. And the cubes come in 6 different sizes: 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, and 12-inch finished blocks. Now, for recreating this particular design, I decided to go with the 8-inch size.
Now, this 8-inch cube is on sale today, Erica. How much is it?
It is. So it's normally $229.99. Today, it's going to be $161.99. You're going to save $69. It's a great deal.
That's awesome. So I'm going to open it up, and in the small case here, I'm going to pull out the cutting mat because we're going to need one of those.
Perfect.
Erica, what happens if you try to use the die without a mat?
Absolutely nothing.
Yep. All right. So we're going to open up here. Now, Erica, what 2 dies do we need
We
for
only
this?
need 2. So we
Okay.
are going to need shape 1. Shape
Okay.
1 is going to be our larger square in every cube. It's going to be the whole corner pieces as well as the center.
Excellent.
And then we're just going to need the quarter square triangle, which is shape 4.
Correct.
Right there.
Yep.
That's going to create this hourglass block.
Perfect.
But it's also going to create the border treatment.
Perfect. And then I'm actually going to pull out one more die from this 8-inch cube that we're going to use a little bit later. And it's shape number 5, which are smaller half square triangles.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, so I'll pull those 3 dies out and we'll put away our cube.
All right, so we need to cut, and we're going to use our Go Me fabric cutter today because we can.
Ta-da.
Awesome.
That's right. I love mine. I use it all the time because it fits right next to me on my sewing table.
Right.
And I can be ready. All right, Pam, if you want to hand me a couple of dies, okay.
There we go.
go.
I'll cut if you
So-
guys put fabric.
Lynn, here we go. Now we're going to show you, you want to show fan folding?
Sure.
Okay.
So we can always cut up to 6 layers of quilting cotton, but you can also cut other fabrics like flannel, felt, denim, wool, like
Yep.
we did in the soldier's quilt.
So
And we're gonna use our Go Me today, so you can actually use your 4, 6, 8, and 9-inch cubes through your Go Me, and they're gonna be all that same price of $161, which is a $69 savings.
that is
Perfect.
fantastic. Is that's
Yep,
6 layers
that'll
right
work.
there?
That's 6 layers right
All
there.
right.
And
And then
I'm gonna cut.
Okay.
she's going to
there you
cut.
go.
All right, then we're going to go ahead with our quarter square
this all
triangles. And I was using some scraps.
Okay, I'm gonna turn it just a little bit
We're
here so
a
I
little
can.
bit off. I'm a little bit short on the fabric that we need for that, but we'll still get a couple out of
Okay,
it.
Lynn, I'm just gonna cut 4 layers here.
okay.
2 layers, and I've got 2 layers here, I think.
All right. So we
Hold
got
on here. There we go. It's because it's on this little,
Oh, there
Oh,
we go.
it's on
Yeah,
the
it
mat.
needs to
so
be on a
it has to be
flat-
straight.
surface.
There we go.
Perfect.
Didn't
Right.
like being on the
No,
wonky side.
it didn't. So there's our perfect
There's our
squares.
perfect square.
Okay, and then we've got this one all ready for you to go.
Perfect.
Now, the thing about working with quarter square triangles, and I think you all will agree with me, is you have to keep track of your pieces and how they lay out. So the reason we've cut them the way that we have so that we've got our length of grain, our tight part right across the outside. So you want to make sure that you don't get confused and take what should be the outside and sew it together like a half square triangle, because then you're going to have a really stretchy bias
Right.
on the
Which
outside.
is very tricky.
Very tricky. So, but it still is going to work because with this border treatment, because we're still going to have our lengthwise grain right here where it's nice and tight to put our rows together, and our bias is going to be sewn together over there.
Right, and then your quilt top will lay flat.
Yep, that's
So-
absolutely right.
Thing to recognize about our quarter square triangles and our half square triangles, we cut off those dog ears. So from this point here to this point here is that perfect 1/4-inch seam. So I don't know about you, but cutting triangles are really hard by hand.
It is.
We have a die for all
It
of
is,
that.
that's right. And it's going to go together really slick. And this design, I'll put it the right way, is so prominent. Those 4 quarter square triangles. You
So
see it
pretty.
in so many projects.
Yeah, here.
So really, it was very simple to put together, and I'm sure it took a lot longer to cut using the traditional method.
Yeah, look at that.
Oh, there, I had half of one.
There, perfect.
Perfect.
Yep.
And you can make this, did you mention that, in any size?
Yes, now we use the 8, and because of that, and this is a 9-patch layout, so we've got 1, 2, 3 across. That means we've made a 12-inch block using our 8-inch cube.
Right?
I love that.
So if you use the 4-inch cube, you'd make a 6-inch block and so on and so forth. Yeah, it's great. Ah, I love that block.
And I just love this border treatment. You could use this for so many quilts, and it kind of echoes what's in the quilt, but it could be used in so many different designs.
And wasn't there a small little strip between there, Eric?
There was. So there was probably about 1 inch, I'm thinking. So I'm thinking it was maybe you could use the 1.5-inch strip die,
Sure.
one of my favorites, and then it would finish at just that 1 inch to just kind of set things apart.
Yeah, it's so pretty.
And then again on the other side of the border.
Excellent.
Awesome.
All right, we're
Great.
going to hand
This
all
is
your
great.
pieces back to you, Miss
Okay,
Erica.
I'll take my pieces. I'm going to go home and make more blocks.
All right. Okay, so I'm really excited for our quilters to recreate some of these historical quilts we share today using AccuQuilt.
Oh, me too. It was really a lot of fun. So let's give 2 of them something to help them make their quilts no matter where they go. We're going to give away 2 of our green rolling totes.
That's a great idea. I don't think
okay.
we've done that before.
So our rolling totes are perfect for all those quilters on the go. So our Ready, Set, Go fits inside that Go fabric cutter. You can put your cube inside. That back piece zips off so you can put in your cutting mat, but I actually put my 2.5-inch strip die and my 10 by 24 mat there. There's pockets for other dies. The handle lifts up, and you can just take it anywhere you want to go.
That's right.
So our first lucky winner of our green Go Rolling Tote is, drum roll please, Debbie B. from Thane, Wyoming. Congratulations!
The second winner of this giveaway is, drum roll please, Susan C. from Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Awesome. Quilters, be sure to stay to the end of the show to find out which quilters are the winners of today's special giveaways.
Oh, it's going to be great.
Wait till you find out.
All right, now if you need any dies, fabric cutters, or cubes to start making your historical quilts, today is the day to make your purchase. For today only, we're offering you 30% off your order, plus free shipping when you spend $100 or more if you live in the contiguous U.S. So today, if you're thinking, gosh, I want to get that ready, set, go, it's $150 off.
Wow.
We're going to ship it to you free.
Awesome.
Use the promo code SUMMER30 for this amazing discount. Plus, if you spend more than $300, you will receive a free Go Me fabric cutter starter set. Some exclusions apply, so be sure to check the website for details. Now, this deal is only good until midnight Central Time tonight, so don't wait too long.
Yes. Quilters, several of the quilts that we wanted to highlight were part of a current exhibit at the museum called Abstract Design in American Quilts at 50.
Abstract Design in American Quilts was an exhibition originally displayed in 1971, 50 years ago,
Yes.
at the Whitney Museum of American Art in New York. Now, the collection was put together by Jonathan Holstein and Gail Vanderhoff, who started collecting quilts and were struck by the similarities between historic quilts and the modern art movement.
The exhibit became a cultural phenomenon, and versions of this exhibit traveled the world throughout the 1970s. In short, this exhibit helped to elevate how quilts were viewed, showing them as the pieces of art that they truly are.
Quilters, we have to tell you, this exhibit is absolutely stunning. And it was hard for us to narrow down the quilts to highlight in the show. So let's head into the gallery. So will you talk about this tumbling block one? Because that's a really classic pattern.
So it's tumbling blocks, baby blocks, and it's so dimensional. And it's one of those quilts that give you such a sense of depth and illusion in them. And so when you're looking at it, and you notice as you walk up to it, at some point you see the actual cube, which is done with usually with a light, medium, and dark fabric. This one isn't as quite designed as you'll see in other ones, but they have done the lighter fabric kind of at the top of the cube. So it creates this incredible three-dimensional quality to it. And it is really a difficult pattern because, as you all know, when you're working with diamonds, you can get them skewed. I tried to make one like this, and oh my gosh, I battled it. Because you just pull that a little bit, and it's pulled out of shape, and then you don't have that precision that you need to get the overall design.
Well, and you also have to create a Y seam, which some quilters are a little nervous about.
Yeah, and I didn't know how to do that when I started. I eventually kind of figured it out, but and I was doing a very small piece, but yeah, it's 1880 to 1900. So a lot of these piece quilts that have multiple fabrics like this, they oftentimes won't repeat a fabric, and then we consider a charm quilt. I don't know that this is officially a charm quilt. I do think we're seeing a fabric or two.
Yeah, I see if they're at the top, a couple of them.
Yeah, but a lot from this time period, that was kind of one of the goals, is that you would trade fabrics and not repeat your fabric in it at all.
Okay, so Tumbling blocks are such a classic design, and it's one that quilters love making still today. And I found the idea of a charm quilt that doesn't repeat
Yes.
a fabric. I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
I didn't either. And then from that point on, did we not look at every quilt and see if it was
Every
a charms
single one,
quilt?
yes.
Right.
Because the one with the triangles we decided really was.
Right.
When we were looking at it.
Yeah.
We'll save that for another day.
We need to have a fabric swap.
We do.
Oh, we do. We'll work on that.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, okay, back to the show. In fact, we know that quilters ask all the time about how to make tumbling block quilts. And I think that's one of the reasons why quilters love our angled guidelines on our strip dies so much, because it lets them cut quick and accurate diamonds for this very design.
Right. And we have a whole bunch of videos on how to use our strip dies. If you want to make tumbling blocks, you want to cut them at that 60-degree angle.
That's right.
You have to do a little wising, but don't be scared. We have
Don't be
videos
scared.
for
There's
that
videos.
as well. All right, I'm super excited for the next quilt we get to look at. It is a beautiful wool courthouse steps quilt from the 1800s. Let's learn how to using wool is different than a quilt made from quilting cotton.
Log cabin is probably the most popular quilt pattern that we know of that was being made. And I particularly like it because it's simple and you can start in the center and build your way out. And just by the way you place your fabrics, by using lights and darks, particularly in other styles, you can create patterns like the streak of lightning. But with the courthouse steps, you're really going from side to side, and you're not using your colors in the same way. But the idea is you have like the center here, and then the steps up to the courthouse, and the columns of the courthouse, and the roof across it. So this one, the individual blocks stand out a lot more than you see in other log cabin patterns. And log cabins were, I think, our earliest log cabin. We have one of the earliest dated ones, and it's 1867. Wow. And then they are made throughout time. And we put this next to this beautiful Amish quilt. They're both wool, and the difference, I think, in wool is that it absorbs light, and so they take on a whole different characteristic than a cotton that reflects the light back to you. So they really have a different feel. And Jonathan Holstein quoted a scholar that he knew who said that the wool quilts look like, and especially the wool Amish quilts, look like they were made under moonlight.
Oh, wow.
So I think that's really appropriate.
And this one has the red center,
red
sometimes
center.
yellow, right? Too.
And that's typical, and we call that the hearth of the log cabin. But we're going to see a number of log cabins in this show that have different, maybe a yellow or pink. So it's not something that was always done, but it is kind of a predominant feature of them.
Okay, having them made out of wool was such
So cool.
almost a surprise, I think, to all of us.
Yes.
But the difference in seeing the sheen and seeing how the fabric looked on the display was amazing.
Oh, absolutely.
I personally have had a courthouse steps in red, white, and blue on my bucket list for quite some time, for my little quilting bucket list, and I don't think I'm going to do wool, but I am pretty inspired to go make it right now.
It's so cool.
All right, did you know that you can use our log cabin die to make it?
I happen to have one at home already waiting, but if I didn't, today's deal would be the time to get it,
Absolutely.
because it's normally $119.99. Right now, it's only $84.99, so you've got a great deal.
Yeah, it's, I have to tell you, I'm working on courthouse steps, and
Yes.
I love that log cabin die.
I want to get started on it.
Yeah, this was the thing, right? We saw the quilts and we're like, we should go home and sew.
Oh,
Right.
so inspiring.
The next quilt we're going to show you is one that really spoke to me because I love making flying geese. Quilters, check this one out.
So this is wild goose chase, which, you hear people talk about wild goose chase patterns all the time. So we're looking 1880 to 1900.
Yeah, and this one is a great example of another inherent vice in the dye, because in this period of time, green was always a difficult dye to achieve. There just wasn't a natural element or plant that would yield this. So it was always a struggle to create the dyes. And so you can see that this one ranges from a pretty dark green to where it's completely lost color.
It looks
And
like
that
tan.
is- yeah. And when I started out in quilting 25, 30 years ago, we would look at these red and like sometimes red and orange and tan quilts. We'd say, why would she choose that color? And then we realized it was because it was this fugitive green, meaning that it just oxidizes. And it's definitely worsened if the quilt has been in a lot of light. So you can see probably at certain
Right.
times this might have been folded in such a way that parts of it were getting a lot more light than the center.
Maybe it laid on a bed and the side where the window came in the morning.
Any kind of exposure is going to really hurry that up. I actually saved a piece of fabric because I worked for a shop that sold antique quilts and fabrics. But I have a great piece of fabric that has a label on the top of it. So it's called it, and it's this tan color. And then you open it up, and inside it is the most beautiful emerald green with this shine to it. So you can see what happened to that fabric just from that top layer having some exposure.
So Erica, tell us what shapes we'd use to make
So-
this.
If we're going with an 8-inch cube, and I don't know that we are, I think maybe it might be 6.
It's pretty small.
It's pretty small.
It's pretty small.
If we flip over and talk 6-inch, then we've got our shape number 4. Those are our quarter square triangles,
Right.
right? We've got our flying geese, so that's our shape number 4, and then number 5 on the sides. We've got our number 1, so that would be a 3-inch square, right?
Right. But if you did 2, 4,
But if we
6,
do
8,
if we do it as an 8, if we use it as an 8, then you've got that 8.5-inch square.
Right, in the middle.
The 8-inch finished square in the middle.
Okay.
And then they've done wonderful quilting around it with this
Right.
great design.
and the way it doesn't go around the flying geese, so it's like
Right.
they go
The
one
red
direction
go
and then
to
they
and the
crash
green
into
go.
the other and
And
crash
I
into
like the
the
way
other.
they leave that corner on either ends open.
And to me, and sometimes quilts with a lot of points like this, I say make me nervous.
Right.
Right.
Because
it's
it
too
does
sharp.
create, it's too sharp, there's too much tension. But this has got those it's got places for your eye to rest and relax that tension as you look at it.
I love the red strips that where it picks up like a whole new design,
And
like almost like a rose stem.
Like a
or
rose stem,
something.
that's what I was thinking with
Yeah.
with the thorns.
And interesting that the green faded so much, but the red is
No,
not
the red
pink.
is wonderful.
It still is red.
That's our beautiful turkey red. Such a solid fabric. Red, that turkey red and the indigo blues, sure, they just stay.
They hold up.
Such a great quilt. Such a great quilt.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I know totally why you were drawn to it. And we went ahead, I was so fascinated by the fading of the green and
Right.
her story about the green. So we chose to use a very dark green, like she talked about in our recreation here.
Yeah. And that quilt was made in Pennsylvania back in the 1800s, right? 1880s and 1800s. But just as amazing how modern it looked.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. And there was another story that Carolyn told that I wanted to share about the importance of labeling. We talked quite a bit about that.
Yes.
We're going to probably save that for another show. But there was also the idea of quilters signing the front of their quilts, which I love that,
Right.
because these are works of arts, especially if you're creating your masterpiece.
Right.
You really should think about signing the front of your quilt. Why not? And add a date to it as well.
Because
I
she
think it's
said
a
if
great
it was
tip.
a painting, you're signing the front of it,
Right.
right?
Absolutely.
Not the back.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. So on that note, I'm going to step off the set just for a few minutes. I'm going to go grab the next giveaway off my
excellent.
desk. So I'll be
Okay.
right back.
All right. We'll see you in a minute, Lynn.
We'll make a block.
We will. Okay.
All right, so Pam, you couldn't wait to tackle a recreation of this quilt design, could you?
No, I really loved it. And so I, like you, decided to use our 8-inch mix and match cube. And I pulled out 2 other dies from it. And we're going to use that 2.5-inch strip die.
Right.
Because remember, there was that big
Yes,
sashing.
that was like the rose stem that reminded us.
Right. And then the center is this really great die. This is the 8-inch finished square.
Yes, and this is a great die to accompany anybody who has an 8-inch cube.
Right.
Now, I'm going to share a little something because I can tell what everybody's thinking. They're wondering why the shape is on the die at an angle.
It is.
And we
They're
get this
asking.
all the time. And it's very much on purpose.
It is.
right?
It is.
So if you think about driving your car over a speed bump,
Right.
you're going to have a rough ride. You're going to have a bump.
Right.
Well, think about sending your fabric and your die through the cutter. That center is going to act like a speed bump.
And we want it to have a nice, smooth ride because we love our fabric. We're quilters, we love our fabric.
Yes.
So we have put our shape at an angle. That's why we say to line up your lengthwise grain right along the lengthwise blade as it goes through the cutter so that it gets the best possible smooth cut as it goes through the cutter.
Right. Yeah, those rollers, just like a speed bump. So when you're laying fabric, lay it on the blade over the shape, not the die board. Otherwise, you're going to waste fabric and you're going to be crabby.
That's right.
Okay, so the 8-inch cube, remember, so the 4, 6, 8, and 9-inch cubes are all the same price. They're normally $229, 30% off. They're
Wow.
going to ship for $161 and ship free if you live in the contiguous U.S. This 8-inch square die, it retails for $49.99 with that 30% off. It's just $35, so a savings of $15.
Great day to pick it up.
It
Be sure to
is.
use that code, Summer30.
Yep, and the 2.5-inch strip die, all of our strip die is 30% off today.
Yep.
So think about that if you're looking for that, okay?
All right, well, back to our block. Now,
Yes.
you are always telling everybody that there are flying geese in every single cube.
There
So
are.
how about you show us how that works?
All right, so this is the flying geese section. Okay, first of all, if you were voting for Italy to win the Euro
Oh,
2021,
yes,
you
these-
should totally be making this block. And the center is big enough for a soccer ball.
Yes, it is.
Use that
Sports
Go Sports
medley.
Medley die and make a beautiful quote for the Go Italy.
Only you would think of that.
I too really watched the game. Oh, it was great. Okay, so you only need 2 shapes to make flying geese. You need shapes 4 and 5. So 4 is that quarter square triangle, and 5 are smaller half square triangles, and they're from every cube are the
Right.
same, 4 and
Right.
5.
4
and
and
then
5.
shape number 1, like you used to make the corners.
Right.
And then this is that
That hourglass shape
hourglass shape
again.
that you made as well.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So shall we cut some fabric?
Let's cut some fabric.
Okay.
And while you're getting ready to do that, we've made an even bigger block this time with our
We
8-inch.
have. We
We've
have.
actually made, we've got 8 here, we've got 4 and 4. We've made a 16-inch block now with, again, our 8-inch cube.
Such a great idea. Okay, so first I'm going to show you how to cut half square triangles. So what I did was I measured from here to here at a 1/4 inch on
Yep.
either side and just rough cut width of fabric, okay? And we can always cut 6 layers.
Oh, here we
So,
go.
I know, we're
fan
gonna just
folding
fan
again.
folding it. AccuQuilt, when we talk about fan folding, that's what we refer to. And then I'm going to put a cutting mat on it, okay? And I'm not worried about this tail because the only blades are in the die. They're not in the cutter.
That's right.
And this Go Me, Erica, it's just free, right? No code required.
That's right. We'll put it gently and lovingly in the box for you. You don't have to do anything special.
Yep. Spend $300.
Well, yes.
Okay, so here's our small half square triangles, which go on the side here.
Which are going to be our wings
Yep.
for our goose.
For our goose. And then I'm just going to cut a couple of layers of this for our quarter squares.
Perfect.
Okay, and you already talked about the quarter square triangles.
I
and how
did.
you need to treat them like quarter square triangles, not
Right,
half square
and
triangles.
that's, again, how this works. So again, our quarter square triangle is going to work for that because we're going to have that tight lengthwise grain on the outside.
Okay, give a little love. Slide that mat because static is built up.
And it is staticky in here. I
It
can
is
look at your
today.
pieces just
I
to
know,
fly in.
Just flying. Oh, flying geese. Oh. I sewed this actually while I watched soccer, so it was super fun.
Well, there you go. All right,
Okay.
we only need a couple.
Yep, so here we've cut our pieces, so let's just lay a couple out
Okay.
and show you. And then
Here,
I have
have
the
some
little
wings.
steps. Yep.
This is what you would call a great chain piecing project.
That's exactly what I did. I did a whole bunch of chain piecing for days. So you'll notice the quarter square triangles, we cut off the dog ears, half square triangles, we cut off the dog ears. So we're gonna line it up just like this.
Right.
And Erica, I do one side and then do the other. Is that
Yep,
what you do?
I do too. I do one side, then I press them all.
Right, and so see right here, you're gonna think, ooh, Pam, you've done that wrong.
Don't
But
panic.
Don't panic.
Don't panic.
Because when you press it away to add the other side, it's gonna line up perfectly.
That's right.
Just for you, I pinned.
She did. It was
Okay.
really so she didn't lose a piece, but she pinned anyway,
I
and
did.
so
I
she
did.
gets a point.
I do. Okay, and then here's our cute little blocks that we made. Now, Erica has this great pro tip on how to sew
That's
flying
right.
geese together.
That's right. So whenever I sew my flying geese units together, I want to leave it so that the point is on the top, okay? And the reason I do that is so that I can see that while I'm stitching, I'm stitching right across the very top of the point and not coming down and chopping off the top of my point on my goose.
On your goose.
On my goose.
No gooses were hurt during
No
this
goose
process.
is hurt. That way, when you open it up and press it, you've got your peak. And that's what we're looking for, right, quilters?
Yeah.
We're looking for that perfect point.
Yeah, it's just amazing. So Flying Geese shapes 4 and 5 in every cube.
Everyone.
And congratulations to Italy.
That's right. We can't, seriously, we cannot tell you what an amazing experience we had at the Quilt
So
Museum.
great. It was so great.
So much. In fact, we had way more quilts and fascinating stories than we can cram into one show. So look forward to hearing more about our visit in the future.
And it truly was an inspiring day. And a huge shout out to Justin and Joe who came with us. They did all the filming and just let
They
us
did.
talk and did all the editing.
They did.
It was great. And I could hardly wait to get home and sew, right? We kept seeing things and I was like, oh, I need to go home and sew that.
Yeah.
So if you were inspired as we were, now is the time to get all the dies and mats you need for those projects that you have in your quilting head. Don't forget to use that code SUMMER30 for 30% off your order. If you spend more than $300, we're going to send you the Go Me starter set, which includes the Go Me and 2 dies, half square triangles, quarter square triangles, and a cutting mat and a pattern book. Plus, you get free shipping within the contiguous U.S. if you spend over $100.
There you go. Well, these historical quilts were just fantastic. But Pam, do you know what would be almost as good as seeing a video of them?
What is that, Erica?
A hardbound coffee table book about the museum, published by our friends at Martingale.
Oh, hey, so Lynn went to grab a couple. Can we have her come back and tell us all about this exciting book?
Yes. So here's the actual book. So this is called The American Quilt Treasures, and this is just a wonderful book. I actually have this at home.
Okay.
And so I'm going to open this up and just.
We had so much fun looking at this earlier. We flagged some that we wanted to share.
Make sure that you can see what I've got here. So this is a great one here.
Oh, there's your geese.
There's our flying geese.
Our flying geese.
So many sizes. So this is a really great idea. So you could use the 4-inch cube, the 6-inch cube, and the 12-inch cube, or the 4, 6, and 8. I don't know. Just flying geese for days.
Just lots and different sizes.
And guess what this quilt's called?
What?
Flying geese.
Flying geese. Well, there you go.
I wonder how many flying geese there are in there.
I don't know.
Hundreds and hundreds of them.
So this next one, this one we all love because this inspires us why we all have all the sizes of the cube.
That's right.
So you could definitely recreate this quilt with that. It's just full of all those various square and a square I see. There's flying geese. There's all sorts of geometric shapes.
Yes.
And I love the fact that, we talk about like scrap busting all the time, but I feel like they had scrap busting back in the day, right? Quilter's been scrap busting forever.
That's right.
Quilters are the original recyclers, upcyclers.
Yep. So, and then this one I thought was really,
this is
could
amazing.
Totally be,
this is just amazing.
And this one's called triangles.
So
you could
half
totally,
square triangles.
Yeah, this is definitely a chain piecing project.
Do not attempt this quilt without a go cutter.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look at those tiny little half square triangles.
And I know Joe said pick 3, but I have a bonus one. So this is a pickle dish
Oh,
quilt.
look at
So
that.
with your pickle dish die.
Oh,
Isn't
look
that
at
beautiful?
that.
I love it.
Okay,
with
that is
just the
super
3
pretty.
colors.
Give you a little bit of inspiration
Yeah, a
there.
little
You know,
blue
we
and red.
talked about it when we launched the pickle dish about it being an old design.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
There you go.
And look, it has those curved edges so you could cut bias binding. There's a die for that.
Wonderful.
Yes,
All
there
right.
is.
So Martingale has had a self-proclaimed 40-year love affair
Yes.
with quilting,
They
sewing, knitting, and crochet. They have published over 1,500 books and products, and their mission is to empower makers who use fabric and yarn to make life more enjoyable.
That's right. Quilters, you might recognize them as That Patchwork Place. They have been so gracious as to give us 2 of these great books to give away today.
They have. That's amazing. Let's announce the winners of these unique gifts.
That's right.
And to make it even more special, we will be including a fat quarter of fabric printed with the International Quilt Museum's logo with each book. Eric and I had such a great time finding fat quarters. The winner of the first hardbound coffee table book published by our good friends at Martingale is, drum roll please, Anne A. from ENCORE, Wisconsin. Congratulations.
Oh, you're going to love this book. Our second winner of this exciting giveaway is, Maestro, please. Melanie G. from Florence, Alabama.
Congratulations. You're going to love these books. So much inspiration. in them.
Yes.
Absolutely. And a huge thank you to Martingale for sponsoring this very special show for us.
Thank
Right.
you.
This show has been so fantastic. We have shared a lot of content with you, but we share even more every week in our blog. Did you know we had a blog? We do. As a matter of fact, Caden has written a great article for the blog about our visit to the Quilt Museum, so be sure you
Amazing.
check it out. It's usually filled with quilting inspiration, with organizational tips, all kinds of things from the AccuQuilt team like Caden and from our go-getters. So be sure that you sign up so that you can be notified whenever a new blog post goes live.
The blog has a wealth of information, so be sure to check it out if you haven't already. We also share a lot of great content on our other social media sites as well. We share free patterns, inspiration, sneak peeks on new dyes. There's some of those coming out soon, and even your own projects that you've shared with us.
That's right. We love to share your stories, your quilts, and more. Plus, we share behind the seams
Yeah, we do.
videos there from our live events on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram.
They show you a close-up look at our projects, fabric giveaways, and more. So be sure to check out our live show in a whole new way.
Now, don't forget, the deal of the day is this, so be sure and don't miss out. For today only until midnight Central Time, we're giving you 30% off your order, plus you'll get free shipping when you spend more than $100 if you live in the contiguous U.S. So think about getting that Ready, Set, Go today. It's $150 off. Our cubes, 4, 6, 8, 9-inch cubes, they have a $69 savings on those today. Log cabin dies, strip dies,
Make the courthouse steps with me.
all of those. There we go.
Now I've said it out loud. Now I have to get started. So remember to use the promo code SUMMER30 for this amazing discount. Plus, if you spend more than $300, don't forget you're going to get a free Go Me fabric cutter starter set. Some exclusions apply, so be sure to check the website for the details.
This offer is only good now through midnight Central Time, so place your order quickly.
Okay, get your order in right now during the show. Use your phone's camera to capture this QR image. It'll take you right to the site.
If you don't have access to a QR reader, no worries. Open up a tab in your browser, go to the top of the page and click on that plus sign. In that very top box, type in AccuQuilt.com/party to place your order. That way you won't miss the minute of our show.
That's right.
You can also find these products at your local AccuQuilt retailer. So we are so glad that you could join us for today's very special show and a virtual tour of the International Quilt Museum. We hope that you check out this wonderful museum if you're ever near Lincoln, Nebraska. It is worth the detour. And thank you to Carolyn for such a lovely tour.
Oh, she was
Absolutely.
fabulous. Thank you so much, Carolyn. And quilters, make sure you join us next Tuesday, July 20th, when we're celebrating Stars and, are you listening? Strips launch party. We're excited to share a couple of brand new dies with you, along with some great projects that you don't want to miss.
Now be sure to register for the event and join us at noon Central Time for your very first look. This is going to be a fun party with lots of fresh inspiration.
And quilters, don't forget, we have our So Hot summer sweepstakes going on.
The sweepstakes will run until September 21st. We'll be giving away a total of 5 AccuQuilt prizes worth a total of $1,400. The grand prize is $500.
Amazing. Check out the live events page at AccuQuilt.com for the details. It's easy to enter. Just register for our Tuesday live events.
The winners will be announced at the end of the So Hot Summer Sweepstakes on September 21st.
This is so wonderful.
There you go. There she goes.
It wasn't so hot.
It wasn't so hot.
There's also 2 other prizes that you can win during our
So Hot
summer sweepstakes. We will also be giving away 2 $200 prizes at the end of July and August. To be eligible for these giveaways, you must register for at least 2 events in that month. It is just that easy.
And such great ways to win. Quilters, make sure that you are an AccuQuilt Circle member because we're going to give you the winnings in the form of rewards points at AccuQuilt.com. After you win, you can simply apply the credit to all that AccuQuilt swag you've been wanting to get.
Thanks again for joining us today for this virtual tour of the historical quilts at the International Quilt Museum.
And again, a huge shout out to everyone at the International Quilt Museum for allowing us to film there and interrupt their day. We got such a great inside look on their amazing collection. We hope you find our historical quilt translations helpful and inspirational.
And remember, with AccuQuilt, we have a ton of ways to help you cut time
so you can quilt more. Goodbye.
Have you met AccuQuilt's Go Me? This lightweight, compact fabric cutter will inspire makers everywhere to experience the joy of quilting. It makes a great starter set for those new to quilting or to the AccuQuilt system. The Go Me provides a safe, fun, and easy way to cut a variety of fabrics for quilting. It also makes a great gift. This perfect starter set comes with the Go Me fabric cutter, 2 Go dies, a cutting mat, and 5 fabulous patterns. Just add fabric and you'll have everything you need to create your first project. Look what we made using just these 2 dies. Plus, it's compatible with more than 200 dies in our Go collection. The Go Me's compact design is made for quilters with life on the go. With AccuQuilt and the new Go Me, we can help you cut time so you can quilt more. Are you or someone you love an avid quilter? Meet the Ready, Set, Go ultimate fabric cutting system. This fabric cutter takes the strain out of fabric cutting, meaning less chance of injury and better quilts made faster. The ultimate fabric cutting system includes the Go, our innovative fabric cutter with an easy-to-turn handle that makes cutting fabric safer, faster, and more accurate. This 15-pound fabric cutter has a carrying handle and folding mechanism, so it's portable and easy to store. The Ready, Set, Go also includes the Go Cube Mix and Match 8-inch block, which features 8 dies of commonly used geometric shapes and the corresponding cutting mat. The Go Cube Mix and Match system has endless pattern possibilities, but it comes with a 16-page pattern book with 2 quilt patterns to get you started. We like to say the Ready, Set, Go is the ultimate fabric cutting system because it truly comes with everything you need. That includes our Go Strip Cutter 2.5-inch, which finishes to a 2-inch finish strip, a corresponding cutting mat to make cutting binding strips easier than ever. We've even included a die pick to make die maintenance painless. To help quilters feel confident on their quilting journey, we've also included the Go Cube Mix and Match blocks and quilt pattern book by Eleanor Burns. It's packed with tips and tricks in addition to inspiration. Look at some of the beautiful projects you can create with this ultimate fabric cutting system. At AccuQuilt, we want to spread the joy of quilting to all, and the Go makes cutting fabric easier than traditional scissors or rotary cutting. AccuQuilt, because cutting time means quilting more. The Go Cube Mix and Match system is every quilter's best friend. With just one Go Cube Mix and Match block, you have 72 different quilt block design options. The Mix and Match block comes in 6 different finish sizes: a 4-inch finished block, 6-inch finished, 8-inch, 9-inch, 10-inch, and 12-inch finished blocks. The Go Cube system is based on a 4-patch system. Each die is numbered. The shapes are all the same in every cube. They're just different sizes based on the finished block size. For every size of Go Cube Mix and Match block, there is a corresponding Go Cube companion set, corners and angles. The Go Cube companion set corners includes 4 additional die shapes numbered 9 through 12.1. And the Go Cube companion set angles has 4 more dies with shapes numbered 13 through 16. With one companion set, you increase the number of quilt block designs to 144. With both the corners and the angles, that increases to over 216 mix and match patterns, but even more quilt pattern possibilities. Many of your favorite designer patterns can be translated to these common shapes. Because all the shapes in each Go Cube block are the same, each Go Cube compatible pattern can be adjusted for any size cube. All Go Cube Mix and Match blocks and companion sets include the corresponding cutting mat and a pattern book to get you started. The shapes on our Go Cube block dies are self-contained in a storage box. Each die shape includes a 1/4-inch seam and specialized dog ears. That means easier piecing and better organization. To help quilters better understand and benefit from our Go Cube system, we've created a book filled with tips, tricks, and patterns. We've also teamed up with expert Eleanor Burns to create 2 additional books, the Go Cube Mix and Match blocks and quilt pattern book, and the Go Outside the Box pattern book, to help all quilters use and love their cube blocks. The pattern possibilities with the Go Cube system is limitless. The AccuQuilt website has hundreds of patterns to get you started, but don't stop there. For more information on why you need the Go Cube Mix and Match block system, watch our Go Cube videos, check out our site, or visit your local AccuQuilt retailers. With AccuQuilt, we help you cut time so you can quilt more.